Fun fact number 132, take 5. It's going to be Children of Light, chapter 11, New Morning Light. I think I look pretty good right now. Now I have to be a nerd so I can read chapter 11, New Morning Light, Children of Light. Let's see if take 5 is the winner. Andrea slept long and deep. She woke feeling better, even though her wounds gave her much pain. She sat up, put her uniform on, and walked outside. She picked some fruit from a tree and turned around to see Trevor dressed in his uniform, rubbing his eyes. "Hello, Captain." "Hello, Andrea. You're feeling better today." "Yes. You dressed in your uniform, too." "Yes. I also suggested to Hobart that he wear his to help raise Vladimir's spirits today. I think perhaps we should go back to the ship, salvage what we can, and build our own community. We need a rest and to be together as humans for a while. We haven't even communicated with Celia to tell her what is going on and to find out what happened to King Lear. I don't know what I've been thinking lately. Perhaps it was the stress of the journey that made Vladimir react so. None of us have been the same since Newly died and we met the stranger on the hill." Captain Phillips looked down and rubbed his eyes again. "What's wrong, Captain?" "My sight seems to be leaving me. I think I'm going blind," he said with a laugh and a cry of astonishment in his voice. "Captain, what can I do?" "Hold my hand and guide me, but make it look like I'm supporting you." "Yes, that's it. Now don't let on to anyone, not even Hobarth." "Won't Hobarth know?" "If you haven't noticed lately, I'll tell you that his gifts have failed him. He does not even seem to know his right nostril from his left." "Yes, I see. I've thought his behavior was unusual for a telepath empath. But, well, I hoped I was wrong. It seems he has been blinded too in his own way. I wonder how Vladimir is coping in prison." "You mean if he is suffering as we do? You see, I've noticed your advanced pain due to your wounds. They have been untreated for days, and our new friends have not attempted to do anything to change the natural progress of infection or to heal you. I was wondering if it was just their way, and that perhaps they were doing something but we did not understand it. Or perhaps not tending to you was a test of our faith. I'm not sure of anything, to tell you the truth." "Yes, I understand too well your feelings. Do you think they have hurt him, or is this a test of our faith? For his denial of assistance should not have caused such a punishment. I'm unsure if I wish to assist them or who they really are. But we are here now and must deal with each situation as a learning opportunity and as they come." "I should have protested Vladimir's treatment. We should have gotten together on our own and discussed the matter. I should have suggested that, but I didn't. Why? I'm the captain. It's my duty to lead and think of these things, and I've never failed so miserably in my life." "Hobarth is approaching in his uniform, Captain. Would you like some fruit?" "Yes, and some water, too." "I have some, but I am saving it. We may need it later. Tylo and Tox are with Hobarth." "Thank you, Andrea," Trevor whispered as others approached. "Greetings, strangers. How are you today?" Andrea asked. "It's nice to see you up and smiling, Andrea," commented Hobarth. "We understand your need to wear your uniforms for Vladimir, but believe me, he will be displeased. We brought his uniform to him last night. He scowled and yelled abominations. He has improved his attitude a bit, but still has a few doubts to overcome. I believe he will now agree to help us in our struggle, though He did agree to wear his uniform and requested you all have a chance to look through your supplies for possible weapons that could help in the war against our enemies. He will fight for revenge and for the captain's and the Great One's honor. Tylo said this without acknowledging they were there, as if she were talking to the air very mechanically. For while she spoke, she was recalling a conversation she had had earlier with Nagar. Give me more time. I'll break him. He must be lying, said Tylo. You think my influence not enough to hold him and sway him, then? Nago bellowed threateningly. No, that's not it. Then what? He is more of a challenge than Hobart, and the Flame and I were not completely agreed that he was telling the truth. We both agree that he is yet hiding something. He admitted to doubts. What else do you require? Leave me. What about Goron? Don't you want me to confer with you on that? I've decided to be lenient after deliberating with Shub. But I won't be with you. Out of my sight. In his words she had felt the anger, but also his pleasure at her. She knew she was his favorite. Tox told the group, we will go to visit him now. I'm sure he has finished his morning meal, grooming, and exercise periods. In the cavernous underground cells, Vladimir spoke with Quark walking around the cauldron of water. So, Quark, what is true light? You will know soon. It is too difficult to explain. What is that odd music I hear sometimes? The speech of the flames. The passage down to the prison under the great hall was dark, and was a good excuse for Trevor's failing sight and bumping into walls. When they reached the main room, Vladimir was walking with the other prisoners around the large bowl of water. He was talking to a very white man. The contrast in the skin color was amazing. When Andrea saw Vladimir, she cried out a greeting. Hobarth was silent. He knew something was going on, but he could not tell what form it would take. Prisoners, return to your cells, said one of the guards. After the prisoners had returned to their cells, Trevor, Hobarth, and Andrea were allowed to visit Vladimir alone. Even the flame was removed from the door. Tox and Tylo stood on the other side of the water opposite Vladimir's cell. Vladimir, it is so good to see you, said Trevor. Vladimir noticed immediately Trevor's limited sight capabilities, and at the same point, Hobarth did too. Vladimir also noticed that Andrea's wounds had gone untreated and were to the state of gangrene infection. Hobarth said, You're blind. You can't see a thing. How long? You're the telepath, Hobarth. Why don't you tell us? Snapped Andrea. I don't have much time, but I must tell you this. We are leaving this place. What? Hi, Hobarth exclaimed in disbelief. What? Hobarth exclaimed in disbelief. That's better. Not so loud. Let me explain. They will kill us eventually. They killed Winton and burned Andrea. You see, the flames that guard the doors of the cells? That is their true forms. Somehow they can transform for periods of time to other forms. They are only using us to try to fight their enemies, who will be our true friends. We will escape today, soon. I wanted to make sure we are agreed to go. I don't believe you. I'm calling Tylo, you idiot. They have befriended us. What is your problem? Hobarth threw a fit at the thought of leaving. Can't stand the pain of their headaches, Hobarth, Vladimir queried. Vladimir ran by Hobarth to the bowl of water in the center of the prison and tipped the dangerous fluid out of its containment. Some of the water spilled on the floor. Flames ran out through the catacombs towards the top. Other prisoners screamed. Tusks gathered those who were leaving. There were about 10 gnomons, and the 4 humans left in the wetness. Hobarth wanted to stay. Tylo, help me! I'm staying! You can't make me go! The chaos around the spilt water reached decibel levels that were unkind to human ears. Tox was trying to give instructions for escape. Tyler was giving instructions for punishment for those who would dare try to escape. Then I knew you were a traitor. Tox, I knew. Vladimir rendered Hobarth unconscious with a blow to the back of the head. We are going to have to bring Tyler with us. I must return to help the struggle for truth for those that remain. Shub will attempt to overthrow Nagar, and that will be the time we can end the madness and hopefully imprison both of them so we can live true lives. Tyler is the only one who knows my true objectives and how the escape was managed. Vladimir knocked Tylo out and tied her hands together. Vladimir carried Tylo and Tox carried Hobarth. The group of 14 followed Quark out of the imprisoned catacombs through a secret tunnel that seemed to go on forever and finally ended far away from the city into the light and air. We can't rest yet. They will be after us by Rega sundown. Keep moving until we reach the safety zone, Quark yelled. His weary travelers followed. The other gnomons carried the gear of the crew of Zeus, which they had previously confiscated. They traveled for 3 days before Quark would let them rest. When they did, Tyler transformed into her true form. She was blue with orange and white streaks. She tried to attack, but Andrea had her gourd of water and sprayed Tyler with water. Tyler instantly turned back into her human form, screaming in pain. Why did you do that? It hurts! Hee! Her screams woke Hobarth, and he ran to her side. What did you do to Tyler? Why don't you let us go now? You didn't have to hurt her. I feel her pain. Why? You are all evil now, I see that. Hobarth once again seemed to know something. Or did he? Quark said, You are both coming with us. We are only resting for a short period of time, so we have more strength to cross the desert. The pink pogs will help in your shuttle. There is a section barren of life where I led and fought a great war against the Starions. Let us go now. There was no sign of the following gnomons, but they were there. The fleer's only chance was to escape into the barren part of the desert. The gnomons would not follow them into the wasteland. The wasteland was too close to the Starion territory, and there were truths there only a few gnomons knew. Nagar knew these truths to be dangerous to the structure of the gnomons' beliefs. The group of 14 headed into the desert. Tox pushing and prodding Hobarth and Andrea with her water gourd poised to threaten Tyler at any time, and Quark and Vladimir leading the bunch. Trevor felt his sight returning the further away from the village they traveled. He realized his sight had been leaving him because of his thoughts and doubts for Nagar and his ways. When the journey continued, his sight would improve, but for now he was guided by Quark and Ploss. The group found King Lear's pod about noon of Regasun, but King Lear was nowhere to be found. The pod of simple construction, a metallic exterior and a soft padded interior. The pod could only be opened or shut from the outside. That is why it was strange to see the door hanging open and no King Lear. They rested near the pod a while. Andrew's condition was getting worse. Then they reached the shuttle. When they had reached the shuttle that had brought them to SETI, they gathered anything left that might be useful. Trevor grabbed an extra tent and made a stretcher out of it for Andrea because her wounds were festering and swollen and turning green. She could not walk any longer and had lost consciousness when they reached the shuttle. Trevor also tried to use the communication equipment aboard the shuttle to reach Zeus, but there was no response. Vladimir grabbed a spray bottle full of fluids for cleaning instruments and emptied the container and added water. He walked over to Tyler and looked her square in the eye and said, We may be losing Andrea, but I can spray water better than she did. Keep that in mind, little fireball. She smirked back at him. I'm not finished fighting yet. You will all pay for your treachery dearly. Everyone gathered as many pink pods as they could carry. Then they moved past the shuttle. Trevor and a pinkish-looking man carried Andrea gently. Vladimir watched Tylo. Toss watched Hobarth. Quark led the group of misfits through the desert. They journeyed the whole day. The desert was very cold at night. 2 red men and 1 lavender woman transformed to their original forms for warmth at night. Around the flames of his friends, Quark said this. They will not follow us this far. The Forbidden Desert is a day's journey ahead. We may rest every rig at sundown now. I hope this will help our friend Andrea. She is being lost to us. And that could be most sad. The Forbidden Desert will take 5 days to cross. After that, I don't know how long it will take to reach the Starian township and temple. I've only heard of such things from dying Starians or told as a myth. I don't even know in which direction to go, but I would suggest we travel towards the highest mountain. That is part of the myth I've heard of Neutrino Mountain. The mountain rises up past the clouds. When he said his last thought, he looked off into the distance dreamily, like he already could see the mountain and had dreamt about Mount Neutrino for centuries. They traveled the rest of the next day. That night, they stopped at the edge of the Forbidden Desert. The desert appeared to be similar to a charcoal pit. Everywhere there was white ash and black sand. When the wind blew, the ash would swirl and the sand would sting the skin of the travelers. There were also darting red flames under the ground, here and there. Trevor asked Quark, do you know those flames? The other Nomons gazed in awe, and some shed tears. No, said Quark. The other Nomons gazed in awe, and some shed tears for the first time in their flaming lives. No, said Quark again. Those are wildfires. We are related, but those fires have no intelligence. They are base. They remind us of where we came from and how we could be. They are random. We are not random. Tyler was looking on skeptically. This is some illusion. Those are not fires or flames, but shiny rocks. We are not related to that. You lie, old dwindled flame. Believe what you want to, Tylo. It is true. You will know by daylight, said Quark. I will not. I know enough now. I know tricks of light. I played them myself. Tylo yelled. Why do they cry? Trevor asked. Because it is the first time they have seen the baser flame. They've been lied to all these years. Now they know the truth of their existence. We are not the superior race. We are not perfect beings. They slept there that night. When they awoke, the sun was hot. The steam rising from the ground seemed to pulsate through the thickness of the air. Everyone, take a pink pod and let's go, Talk said. All Trevor could think about was that there would be 5 days of this. Would Andrea survive? The first day went well. No one stepped in a tar pit or a fire hole. Nobody drowned in the pools of white ash. The group was even singing and laughing, except for Hobart, Andrea, and Tyler, of course. We climb up, up, we climb up to the top, then fall down. We soar like sinners, we hum like eagles, we cry like samajas. We love, we feel the flame, we know true light. We are one with Mount Trino. We are free delight. Ha 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 ha. Vladimir liked this song as the rhythm of the melody skipped along. The song was upbeat and full of fun. I didn't sing it that way, sorry. That night, Andrea woke and ate. Perhaps she would survive after all. She even smiled. That morning, Ploss, a yellow-looking fellow with red eyes, went to scout a path that would be safe. Smike went to look for him and found a yellow hand sticking out of an acid tar pool. He poured the loss, and Shiv cried over the pool, astonished at her own tears. for she had only cried once before at the sight of baser life. Her mate had died horribly. Smike had found a path that would be safer than the one Floss took. The 13 remaining cracked a pink pod and followed down the path. Gar, a pinkish-looking fellow, stepped on the fire running through the ground and evaporated immediately. The 12 that were left sang no songs the second day. They were driven beings. That night Andrea suggested that they go along without her. 3 days both ways. You could come back for me. I'm slowing you down. Nonsense, shouted Quark. I'll hear none of that. He'd come to appreciate Andrea, her wit, and the way her eyes sparkled, and even her pain. In all his years he had never felt such or seen such. He admired her greatly. The third day was more disappointing. Tylo had smashed all the pink pods during the night. Hobarth had helped her. Now we have to turn back, and you all will have to face your fate at the hands of Nagar. She said triumphantly. They still had water to threaten her with, but they could not drink it. We will perish or find true light. There is no going back now, Tylo. Only misery ahead, Fork announced. Hobarth shouted, Can't you see? These others are trying to kill us. We must turn back. Trevor said, We go on. We are committed now. The third day no one was lost. Everyone was thirsty and tired and became quite giddy. On the fourth day they could barely move. They only traveled half the distance they should have traveled that day. Fork was discouraged. Andrea was worse. No ones and humans alike were getting edgy and short-tempered. The joyful band was becoming an obnoxious horde. On the fifth day no one could move. They lay where they had fallen asleep the night before. What's that? Asked Trevor. Quark was lying beside him and saw a little face popping through the sand. That is a notch. I've actually never seen one. They live in the north mostly. They ran from us ages ago. They can be dangerous or gentle creatures depending on how you react towards them. They protect Icarts. They have stingers on their tails that are deadly. They spit water, which they carry in their stomachs. They almost look like gophers, but they have big eyes and are smaller and have no legs. They are good scouts. They usually are not out this far. They are not desert creatures. They will die here faster than us. The little notch popped back in his hole and disappeared. On the sixth day, all was silent. Trevor did not even know if he was alive or not. He figured everyone else had faded away into nothingness. He wondered, is this what death is like? He looked through his barely open eyes and saw a vision of a very feminine Newly, with wonderful lights surrounding her. I must be dead, he thought, and Newly has come to greet me into the great void beyond. So I made it through the fifth take. Thank you all for hanging in there. Well, you didn't have to go through the first four, which were interruptus and tripping over words even worse than this time. But next time we'll do chapter 12, and it's called Saviors. So ciao, Bellas, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the last chapters in the next one. Ciao, Bellas.